You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome to Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan. Today, we're exploring issues faced by African American women at work through a new survey and study by Essence Magazine. And we're celebrating a theater company comprised of girls, yes, girls, and their own life experiences. Then, on the phone from Tel Aviv, Israel, we're joined by an Israeli peace activist and journalist who has co-founded a new media tool that is fresh and diverse and offers a healing sense of hope. Also, and I'll announce this again at the end of the program if you missed the details here, I'll be speaking at Dartmouth in Lebanon, New Hampshire, in the afternoon of Friday, May 1st. I'll be talking about hate speech and how much women are the ones who pay the real cost of free speech. GRID, the Gender Research Institute at Dartmouth, can be contacted for details. If you're in the area of New England and interested, hey, drop by and say hello. It's always a real delight for me to meet with listeners to this program. But now, before Dartmouth, and even before getting to our guests, we need to look inside the headlines. So we're off and running in the campaigns for the presidential election. Women have registered and voted at higher rates than men every year since 1980, and we comprise an even larger majority of swing voters. 72% of women are registered voters compared to 70% of men. Still, the number of articles bylined by women on the last presidential election was only 26%. This is one reason that inclusive questions never get asked. So we're asking male journalists as well, as a matter of course, and good journalism, to field questions that include the female more than half of this country and the world, and that happen to therefore have a major impact on the male half as well. All issues are, quote, women's issues. But a lot of solutions elude us because most of my media colleagues still treat women as an auxiliary rather than central and, in fact, transformative factor on every issue. So look how the whole picture changes if the following 6 questions were put to the candidates regularly in press conferences and later on in the debates. I suggest them, I urge them for use. 1. Equal pay for equal work alone would cut the poverty rate of two-income couples by 25%. It would cut the poverty rate for single mothers by half and put $200 billion more a year into the economy. Yet we go on discussing the economy in the abstract without mentioning equal pay and connecting the dots. So I would ask, how would your administration transform that discussion and the inequality? 2. The U.S. is the only modern democracy without a national system of child care. How would you help us catch up with other countries? Love to hear Ted Cruz on that one. 3. 90% of the most used health care plans are gender-rated, meaning that a female non-smoker may pay higher premiums than a male smoker. How would you remedy such discrimination? Would this include the Equal Rights Amendment to finally make sex discrimination as unconstitutional as race, religion, and national origin? 4. Many U.S. women are concerned about the impact of our foreign policy on women and girls in other countries. Afghanistan is the most blatant example, but others, from the Congo onward, include rape used as a weapon of war. Still, raped women who depend on U.S. foreign aid are denied the choice of an abortion. So how would you include the female half of other countries in your foreign policy? With Hillary Clinton, I think we know the answer to this fairly strongly because she was very strong and affirmative on this point. 5. The Republican Party was the first to support the Equal Rights Amendment, and the Democratic Party back then didn't benefit from the gender cap as it does now. What do you think caused this reversal, and should there be any such division? That's a fun one. 6. The major book from Columbia University Press, Sex and World Peace, blends a mountain of scholarly data with detailed analysis and demonstrates that the security of women is the central factor in the security of the state and its incidence of conflict and war. So, how would you use this new evidence and let it affect your foreign policy and peace efforts? We know again how Hillary would answer that one because she read the book and she applied the book's tenets to U.S. foreign policy when she was Secretary of State. Oh, if only we could get them to answer such questions. But, first, we have to get such questions asked. And now it's time for our first guest. Vanessa Luca is an editor at Essence Magazine, the primary magazine for African American women in the world, really. And periodically, Essence does surveys of their readership and women in the Black community. Black women in health, Black women in family, relationships, etc. And they've just come out with a major one on Black women and work. And it's in the April issue, which is on stand now, and here to talk about it is Vanessa Luca. Vanessa, welcome to the program. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for this remarkable thing that Essence did. The periodic studies that Essence does on the status of Black women are invaluable to everybody. The new one, which is in the April issue, which is still on stand for another week or so, is Black Women at Work study. And the findings are so interesting. Share with the listenership some of the findings.
Sure. Well, as we know, Black women lead all women in labor participation rates in the U.S., and we're overrepresented in the workforce, and still there are many barriers that are holding us back from success. So we decided to take a look at what some of those things could be. And one of the most surprising things, I think, is that we found is that us wanting to play it safe, by that meaning, not necessarily wanting to feed into any particular stereotype that could hold us back, is actually the thing that's holding us back. Us not being our authentic selves in the workplace is one of the most major reasons why we're not seeing more movement into some of the upper levels of management.
Interesting that you cite that one first, because that's where that's the one that most got my attention. Because of this is from the highlights, because of their ambition, Black women tend to have a heightened sense of awareness in the workplace and are vigilant about dispelling stereotypes because they want to be respected and taken seriously. Well, that all makes perfect sense. But then there's a statistic that says 70% of Black women fear the angry Black woman label. Well, what about if you have a reason to be angry?
I know. Well, it's almost as if even if you have a reason to be angry, a large majority of us kind of, push that down because we're so afraid of being mislabeled, of being held back. In fact, also in the study, 80% of Black women said that they feel that adjustments are absolutely necessary to be successful at work, and that's versus 62% of the general population.
Right.
So clearly, there is this feeling, this sense that if we have to act a certain way in order to be accepted.
Yeah, that it's a different set of standards, and it's round pegs and square holes, or whatever the saying is. And when actually the workplace, the country, the culture would benefit from this metaphor is going to kill me yet. Round pegs, square holes. In other words, when everything would benefit from greater diversity and authentic selves.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, when we talk to women who are actually in the C-suite, our study found that when you actually let your guard down and allow, bosses and your colleagues to see how distinctive you are, therefore become more comfortable around you and get a better sense of your strength, that often leads to more visible projects, better raises, and promotions. So, 39% of the executive women, Black women that we spoke to, said that they want to be known as women who take risks, open up, and share those traits that make them different. And they're actually, and when they do that, they're so much more satisfied with the work that they do.
Of course. And I mean, how can you be creative, and how can you initiate stuff, and how can you become a team leader if you can't be yourself? If it's required that you, quote, fit in totally and cut your cloth to, adapt, and only that, then that is one definition of somebody who's going to be stuck as a follower.
No, you're absolutely right. I think what the great thing about this study is that it does give us permission to start thinking outside of those boundaries that we have. That we have imposed on ourselves, or that society or stereotypes have imposed on us, feeling that we have to be relegated to this one particular type or way of being. And it gives us permission to push those boundaries and push the envelope,
yes,
get outside of our comfort zone and really test it. Truly lean in, to use a popular phrase, but truly lean in ways that maybe we have felt might be detrimental to us in the past.
I hope that women take these surveys really seriously and adapt their lives according, because there's nothing like finding that it's not just you, that other women feel the same way, to give you the guts to step forward and make that change in your own life. Do you do any follow-up research on the impact of the Essence studies? Because they seem so invaluable to me.
Well, actually what we're doing is a lot of kind of real-world live event conversations. We'll have some conversations in our obviously at our Essence Festival in July. We plan on having a Work and Well conference in October here that's going to, feature a lot of women who can provide exactly the kind of advice and inspiration that we're looking for. And then also launching on May 1st, we have what we're calling Essence Empower You, which is an interactive free online courses that are available, that ranging on topics, from financial empowerment to career empowerment. And that will be available on essence.com starting in May. So, beyond just the study, we really want to bring it to life with real-world examples of women who are doing this and who are successful.
That's wonderful. And also, that's something that has changed not only in the Black female community, but in the world at large, which is that women now mentor women. I'm old enough to remember a time when, to be the token woman was considered a good thing, and you wanted to be the only one, and we had a joke that climbing the ladder of success meant balancing on one foot, holding on with both hands, and using the other foot to kick in the face any woman who was climbing up behind you. But that has really changed, and it's a mark of pride now to mentor up-and-coming women. And so what you're planning is also invaluable.
I just think that, obviously, the trailblazers, women like yourself who really kind of kick the doors in to make it possible for us to even have this conversation, quite honestly. That's what's really making this environment perfect now for us to really be comfortable with mentoring one another, bringing each other along, because there's no longer this feeling that there's only one slot. There's
exactly.
Only one opportunity.
Exactly. And I think of someone like Ursula Burns, the head of Xerox, who is so amazing, an African-American woman, very hard scrabble beginnings, and one of the most powerful women in the country now. And the Women's Media Center gifted her with an award last year at our gala. But someone like that, the old saying, you have to see it to be it, and just her being who she is and doing what she does with a kind of take no prisoners attitude should of itself be very inspiring to younger women. And now there are more of those role models. Not enough, but at least more than there were.
Sure. Absolutely. You think about Melody Hobson, who really is very clear about being unapologetically Black. And and being authentic in the workplace. You think about Carla Harris.
Right.
And Stanley. I mean, these are women who are demonstrating how to do it on your own terms, in your own way, and be successful.
Yeah, well, this is a very important report. If someone can't locate it because the magazine is by that time is no longer on stand, or for our international listeners who might have a hard time getting it, it's online as well, the study?
Yes, there's great content on essence.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so simply go to essence.com, www.essence.com, or if you're in the States and can find an issue left, because I'm sure it was very popular, it would be the April issue of Essence, and all kinds of other good plans you can find on the website essence.com. Thank you, Vanessa, for the work you do. Thank you, the sisters at Essence. And thanks for being with us on Women's Media Center Live. And thanks for this survey.
Oh, thank you so much, Robin. Our pleasure, truly.
It's time for us to take a break here. I'm Robin Morgan. This is Women's Media Center Live. And we'll be back in just a moment with some theater, my dears. Wonderful theater. Girls' theater.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome back. If you believe, as frankly I do, that art can change people more deeply and more quickly than all the political rhetoric in the world, you'll be particularly interested in this next guest. There's a theater company, nonprofit, called Girl Be Heard. That's girl singular. Girl Be Heard. The company brings global issues that affect girls center stage by empowering young women to tell their stories. And it also makes for some extraordinary evenings of theater. In fact, they're performing tonight, April 25th, at Black Box Theater, and tomorrow, 26th, the same. And they're performing on May 21st at the Cutting Room. These are all venues in New York City. But you can find out more details and how to get tickets and also where else they're playing, not just in New York City, by going to their website, which we will be discussing in just a moment. Meanwhile, here for Girl Be Heard is Jessica Greer Morris. Welcome to the program, Jessica.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here.
Well, I'm going to start with some statistics from your website, which make one sit up and take notice if they haven't already and should have. 6 out of 10 girls growing up in the United States will experience physical or sexual violence in her lifetime. 34% of girls become pregnant before age 20. For too many girls in this country, in the United States, the threat of being trafficked or prostituted is all too real. It's vital for girls to tell their stories and to encourage others to do the same. And Girl Be Heard is precisely that creation, that means for them to do so. And it has performed at the White House, the State Department, the United Nations, TED conferences, off-Broadway and on national tours, as well as in workshops and educational curriculum, and brought it to schools and universities and community centers. You are just terrific. As the co-founder, tell us how Girl Be Heard got started.
So in 2008, we were asked to perform at the Estro Genius Festival, which is an incredible festival. It's going to be 15 years old this year, that celebrates and honors and creates a space for women artists, specifically playwrights and directors. And if you look on Broadway or any of the money-making creative arts fields, women are lagging way behind. There are very, very few female directors on Broadway, very few females being paid what men are being paid. And I think Patricia Arquette said it best at the Oscars. Equal pay is still a problem. And I've been working on trying to pass ERA since I was 7 years old, and I'm 47 now. So While we've come a long way, we still have a long way to go. And in 2008, we had auditioned for a show called Girl Power Survival of the Fittest. And it was actually my partner, Ashley Marinaccio, who is the co-founder, who auditioned these first girls and had an incredible 12-person cast that wrote stories, their own personal stories, about what it's like to be a girl. And it was so popular that the New Yorker ended up coming and being blown away by the performance and saying, it's incredible to see girls hold forth on the stage like this, like it's a rare, wonderful thing. And we thought it was over at that point, that Girl Be Heard had one great show. We weren't even called Girl Be Heard at that point. And what happened was families and principals and community members begged us to continue with the girls as well, who were getting so much out of the program. They asked us to continue it.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, the residual effect of giving a girl a safe space to tell her story and be empowered is huge. We found that, girls did better in academics, that instead of sitting back in the classroom, they began to lean in and become leaders in the classroom. In terms of personal relationships, we found that girls were making better choices about who they were spending their time with. There were so many positive residual effects from this work we were doing, which is, kind of famous for being so innovative. But all we do really is sit in a room with girls and listen to them and ask them what they care about, what they dream about, what they're scared about. And not a lot of people are asking girls what they're thinking.
No.
They're telling girls, what they should be. Their boobs should be this size. Their hair should be this color. There's not a lot of listening. So ours is really a listening model.
Well, I'm sure you know the work now about 10, 12 years old of Carol Gilligan.
I quote her all the time.
Of course.
Like when I was in college, that was like my favorite book that she wrote.
And the thing of bringing girls to voice, and that how up until puberty, basically, up until around 11 or 12, girls sort of stand on their feet and they have their hands on their hips and they say, I think and I want. And, whether they're called tomboys or not, they're assertive little people. And then the culture comes in slowly, or not so slowly. And within a year or so, girls are not saying, I think, I want. They're prefacing it by apologies. I'm sure this is wrong, but. I'm sure this is silly, but I think. I'm sure I'm crazy for thinking this, but. And the self-esteem is just leached away from them bit by bit. So you are addressing, your target age is what?
Our target age for entry into Girl Be Heard is 12 to 21.
There you go.
But I always say it's a program for life, so we invest in girls for life. So once you're a theater company member, you're a theater company member for life. And if I do my job correctly, I'm going to economically empower our girls, most of whom are from underserved areas and below the poverty line, and hire them to work for us. So I'm proud to say that we're now working in 8 schools throughout New York City, and 20% of our staff are girls that have grown up with us and teaching in the classroom.
Oh, my God. Jessica, that must make you feel awfully good when you get up and brush your teeth in the mirror in the morning.
Oh, I always say I'm peacock proud and hallelujah happy when I see the girls kind of take over leadership positions, because that's evidence that we're doing something right. This year, actually, was the first time we had fundraised enough money to pay every single girl who's been in our program a year and are members of the theater company $10 an hour for every rehearsal and performance that we do.
Oh, it's amazing. And how do you just do fundraising? I mean, where does your support come from?
It's interesting. At the beginning, it was the recession, so we didn't get our 501c3 until the end of 2010. That's your tax-exempt status, listeners, for those of you who don't know what a 501c3 is. It's a tax-exempt organization. Go ahead. Yeah, so the first years were so rough. My partner and I both had many other jobs. I was a lobbyist. I have a public health degree, so I did public health lobbying, and I also did some global human rights work in Africa to stop AIDS.
Right.
So that was what I was doing on the side as Girl Be Heard was being born, and then my partner was doing bird tours and also directing shows and doing side work. So so we gave up a lot of years before we had the 501c3 status to give birth to Girl Be Heard. And then, thank God, the economy has changed. So once we had that status, we were able to apply for grants and really expand, which has been very exciting. We
should, right here and now, before I forget, I've got a bad cold, as you can hear today, because I'm sounding like a dying frog. But we should say the website so that people can go on it, learn about it more, contribute, support it, etc. So tell the website.
Thank you so much. So the website is girlbeheard.org, and it's not girls, it's girl, Girl, be heard.
Girlbeheard.org.
Yes.
And the I in girl is a wonderful exclamation point, which just somehow conveys the incredible energy.
People often look at these problems as, insurmountable, but they're not.
No.
Literally, by creating a safe space for girls, we've seen girls who have been practicing self-harm stop practicing self-harm. We've seen girls hospitalized 4 times for cutting come into our program and be healed by this model because they realize for the first time that they're not alone. They're not alone in how they view themselves, not alone with how they deal with their pain.
And somebody's listening. It's not just them. Somebody is, the way they interact with each other and support each other must also be absolutely miraculous, because it's like, my God, it's not just me.
That is exactly it.
I mean, in the first consciousness raising groups, there was what I always called the "you too" moment.
Yeah.
But these were grown women who had a lot of, accrued crap to have to peel off first. I mean, and to get these people while they're still young, really young, and still formative in a way that they can slough off all the tortuous stuff that's been put on them earlier is such a great mission. It is just, and I might add, the performances are professional and really well done too. They're not, how shall I put this, movement-y. They're not, well, it's a movement thing so we can get away with it. They're really, really good. So, unfortunately, we've got to go. Time flies. But girlbeheard.org is where you can go and get more information. You can find out when they're playing and where. You can go and hear them and see them and support them. And Jessica, thank you for doing this work. Thank you from all of us. And thanks for being with us today on Women's Media Center Live.
Robin, I just want to thank you for everything. I've been a fan for decades, and it's a dream come true to be on your show.
And now it's time for a short stopover in the Surrealism Corner. So this is real surrealism. NASA has a jet propulsion laboratory in Pasadena, California, and the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory of NASA, has licensed patents on high-temperature thermoelectric materials to Evident Technologies in Troy, New York, which provides these kinds of materials and related power systems. Thermoelectric materials convert heat into electricity. For example, by using this technology, waste heat from a car could potentially be fed back into the vehicle and used to generate electricity. This would, of course, increase efficiency, and it would deliver low-cost solutions for harvesting waste heat. The licensed technology could be applied to convert heat into electricity in a number of waste heat recovery applications, including automobile exhaust and high-temperature industrial processes like ceramic and glass processing plants. JPL has a long history of high-temperature thermoelectric development, which is driven by the need for space mission power in the absence of sunlight. Many space probes that leave Earth's orbit use thermoelectrics as their sole electrical power source, or their backup one. NASA's Voyager 1, which was, you may remember, the first spacecraft to enter interstellar space, and Voyager 2 also are still traveling away from the sun using thermoelectric power systems, more than 35 years after their launches. Both of these spacecraft use radioisotope thermoelectric generators, systems that convert heat from a radioactive decay process back into electricity. And Mars Curiosity rover, the largest vehicle to ever land and operate on Mars, also relies on a similar system for power. On Earth, Evident Technologies will use the technological advances from JPL in this area to develop commercial, high-temperature thermoelectric modules for terrestrial applications. Take that, gas and oil and fossil fuel industry. Heat turning back into electricity, a circular, cyclic power source. I think that's quite wonderful. And another reason why NASA should be funded, even though people say, well, what good does that do? Science is a good thing. It's a really good thing, folks. Yay, science! It's time for another pause here on Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan. And listen, I tell you, if the headlines on Palestine and Israel and the Middle East make you crazy, do not go away, but be sure and catch this next segment coming up, because it's filled with some actual hope.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
And we're back. My next guest is a woman who gives me such hope that whenever I fall into despair about the Middle East and what a mess it is, in particular the central mess, which is Palestine-Israel, I think about Yael Marom and the group that she co-founded, which is called Local Call. It's a media story, it's a peace story, it's a woman's story. Here is Yael Marom. Yael, welcome to the program. It's good
Thank you so much, Robin.
It's good to have you with us all the way from Tel Aviv. You are doing really necessary work. You know, people begin to give up that nothing will ever change the situation in Palestine, Israel, that nothing can move it forward. Somebody said to me recently that it's going to be like Ireland, which took 400 years. But I don't think the planet has 400 years if we don't settle this soon. And I want you to tell us about Local Call. You are the visionary who came up with the idea, and you're the co-editor. And what I know is that you're an activist in your own right and have been a long time, but that you're very connected to activist communities, and the Israeli media has been not doing its job as media. This, of course, is Women's Media Center Live, so it's exciting that a woman had sought to recenter media, and Local Call, because of you, is this amazing transforming element in media. So tell us how it came to be and what it is.
So Local Call in Hebrew, Sicha Mekomit, is a joint project by Just Vision, which is the organization I work with, plus 972 magazine, which is a magazine of bloggers that is active from Israel and trying to bring analysis and news about occupation and about what's going on to here to English readers, and the Active Skills collective of photographers. Three of us joined together to establish a news website that is based on bloggers. Most of them are volunteers that is trying to give alternatives to the mainstream media in Israel. Local Call basically is a project, is one of the biggest volunteers projects right now that is running in Israel, Palestine, that is trying to fight occupation and to equality to all people in the region. I'm going to say just a few words about how I came to it. Before I was working with Just Vision, I was a Physicians for Human Rights Israel spokesperson for a few years, really trying to highlight different struggles and different human rights issues in the mainstream media. And although that was a success, the effect is sometimes not as big as we want to, because it's very, very hard to influence the Israeli media that is very connected to the government, to a few families and people with fortune that control most of the media here in Israel.
I see.
And I've started to speak with, to do some kind of research, speak with different journalists and activists, and all of them told me, well, as you know, because as you mentioned, I'm also an activist, there is no problem with lack of initiatives. People are doing and are struggling against occupation, against oppression, against different issues here in the region. The only problem is that no one knows about it. And if people knows about it, they know something that is completely far from what is happening in the reality.
You're supporting a range of writers, Palestinian, Jewish Orthodox, Mizrahi, which is the Sephardic Jewish strain, LGBT, Russian people. It's a welcoming spot for pluralism, and I should check this with you, by the way, because of course Local Call itself is in Hebrew, but English language listeners can access it through 972 magazine, which is the area code for Tel Aviv. So 972 magazine has a site online that carries the articles in English.
Yeah, most of the articles are translated to 972. 972 is basically our sister site. So we work closely together. And yes, as you mentioned, what we did is we actually collected a bunch of journalists, but also most of them activists that are dealing with different issues, starting from public housing, human rights, the relations between Jews and Arabs, LGBT, and so on. And what we're doing is trying to do news that are coming from the field, from the bottom to the top. Because if usually you're talking about editorial systems, well, there are editors that decide what will be the main story, what will be the headlines, and so on. And we're working in the other way. So everything is coming from the field, from the people on the field. We want to hear their direct voices, not just to talk about them. They can speak for themselves. They don't need others to explain what they want to do, and this is what we're trying to do here.
Yes, that's so exciting in itself, because, I mean, wherever it would be taking place, because, you know, the phrase, the street, the feeling on the street is, but you never hear from the street. You always hear interpreters for it. And I'm just looking at some samples of the articles that have been published and are published in English as well, and there is a stunning range of bringing the boycott back home. Palestinian stores drop Israeli goods, and why. But there's another one called Mourning Death Wherever It Strikes, and there's one called one West Bank village stands with Ferguson protesters. So it's very touching. There's also a persuasive tone to this writing. It's not an accusatory tone so much, and I think that opening of dialogue at the human level is what's been needed and so sorely missing at the top.
Yeah, I think that, and now I can speak as Israeli, as a Jewish Israeli inside the conflict, after so many years of struggle and so many different paths and tries, I think that's for me, I feel that it's my obligation to speak in my language to my people, to explain what I see as the reality and as what's going on, and not just to speak with the authorities, but to speak with the people on the street. That I think that now, after we had in 2011 a very big social protest in Israel, and I think that people now know that they have some power. They just don't have the information, and they don't really know what to do and how to connect all the dots between different struggles, and this is what we're trying to do here.
Yes. Well, it's the reason that the Women's Media Center exists, even in a country where supposedly the media is free. It's not state controlled, certainly, but it's advertising controlled in most cases. And when we founded it was after years of activism and realizing that we could do the most amazing activism, but what good did it do if nobody knew about it except the people who happened to be there at that moment seeing it? So we decided, okay, sooner or later we knew we would have to face this, which is to try to transform the media. And what you are doing through Local Call is definitely part of that amazing worldwide effort, because media defines as well as reflects society. So if people don't get the news, how are they supposed to function? How are they supposed to, by osmosis? They're not going to pluck it out of the air. Tell our listeners the website in Hebrew and also in English that they can access this and that they can contribute and help.
So the Hebrew website is mekomit, mekomit.co.il, and the English website is +972 magazine, as is. You just can find everything inside those websites, and everyone is really welcome. And we're encouraging people to contribute, even if they're not in the region. We are focusing on what's going on in Israel, in Palestine, and in the Middle East and North Africa, because we feel that what is going on is part of the Middle East region.
Yes.
And just if you can compare it to what's going on in the Israeli mainstream media, well, someone that reads the Israeli mainstream media can think that we are part of Europe or part of the U.S. and not that we are really far from the Middle East. So we're trying to also build some bridges between Israel, Palestine, and the world that is surrounding us. And if I just can give an example, after the shooting event in France, one of the people that got killed there, Yoav Khatab, is a Jewish member of the Tunisian community in Tunisia. And we had an article written by a Tunisian journalist about a joint ceremony for Muslims and Jews that was held there in Tunisia. It was really, really important to connect it to what is going on and what is going on in the world.
It's crucial. It's absolutely crucial. And also all of these issues are the issues of Palestine, Israel, in other countries, in Syria, what's happening in Syria, in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Iraq, because this until and unless this wound is healed, and there is peace in a two-state solution with equality and with dignity and with democracy and with freedom in both places, because Israel doesn't have it either anymore. Until that happens, there will never be peace in the region. It is the central wound. So I can't applaud more what you're doing. It is absolutely crucial work. And I should say that Just Vision, which was sort of the place from which this sprang and with whom you still work, regular listeners to the program will remember we've had guests on from Just Vision before, which is an extraordinary sort of media initiative that has produced some remarkable, including award-winning films on the human face of what happens in Palestine and Israel. So thank you so much, Yael, for everything that you're doing. Remember, English language listeners, it's +972 magazine. Online, if you just look up Local Call, I'm sure both English and Hebrew will come up. Thank you. And it's very exciting, especially for me, that there is a woman and an Israeli, a Jewish woman, who came up with the idea. Yay!
Thank you so much, Robin. It's such an honor that you had me.
Well,
thank you so much.
It's an honor right back. Now, how about some news you can use? ROC United, that's spelled R-O-C United, and R-O-C stands for Restaurant Opportunities Centers. And what it is restaurant workers, most of whom are in the low end of restaurant workers, women, who are organized to try and get better treatment, better time off, better pay. Rock United representatives have appeared on this program and have wonderful ideas, one of which I'm about to tell you. It's called the Welcome Table, and it's so smart. It's a diner's guide app that is free, that you can get from the Rock United website, and it provides you with information on the wages, benefits, and promotion practices of the most popular restaurants in the United States. And it lists Rock United approved high road restaurants in major cities across the country. So you can keep dining at your favorite spots, but if they don't score well, make it known that wages and access to paid sick days and internal advancement opportunities are important to you as a customer. And you can become a member. You can download the app from Rock United, all one word, ROCUnited.org. And you also learn what restaurants to avoid. For example, Darden, D-A-R-D-E-N, Darden Restaurants, that's the largest full-service restaurant company in the world. They own Capitol Grill and Longhorn Steakhouse chains and Olive Garden. And they are on the very no-no list. They are more concerned with short-term profit than the health and sustainability of their workers and the food chain. A recent Associated Press investigation of Darden revealed that Thai Union, a longtime top seafood supplier for Olive Garden, is actually connected to slavery and human rights abuses. So Rock United is working on its long-standing campaign to hold Darden accountable. If we can change Darden, the entire restaurant industry will follow suit. So again, Rock United, ROCUNITED.org, and you want to tool around their website with lots of good ideas anyway, and download the Diner's Guide app and look for the Welcome Table list. It's a terrific idea for organizing, and it's fun. We have to take one last quick break here on Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan, and when we come back, well, you know what's going to happen when we come back. We are going to indulge in some fighting words.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome back again to some fighting words. The Post and Courier of Charleston, South Carolina, with a staff of only about 80 people and a daily circulation of only 85,000, has won the most prestigious of the Pulitzer Prizes for journalism, just awarded last Monday, for a series on the high number of deaths resulting from domestic abuse in the state of South Carolina. The series, which was titled Till Death Do Us Part, was awarded the Gold Medal for Public Service, the first Pulitzer the paper has won since 1925, and the first time in 5 years the prize has gone to such a small newspaper. It's very important, this series, and I want to join the Pulitzers in praise of the Post and Courier for this series, which was written by two reporters, two men and two women, Doug Pardue, Glenn Smith, and Jennifer Barry Hawes and Natalie Cola Hauff. The series contained such reporting, such research, and such courageous text that it kind of takes your breath away. It's what journalism should be doing. For example, here's a quote from the paper. Part of the problem is rooted in the culture of South Carolina, where men have long dominated the halls of power, setting an agenda that clings to tradition and conservative Christian tenets about the subservient role of women. This has bred a tolerance of domestic violence that's passed through so many generations behind so many closed doors that today South Carolina ranks number 1 nationwide in the rate of men killing women. There's a belief that men are totally dominant and women are supposed to be in the bedroom and the kitchen. You can die, but you can't get divorced. South Carolina has been a patriarchal society from its inception. Women lacked the right to serve on juries there until 1967, and the Palmetto State didn't formally ratify the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote until 2 years later. Women couldn't file for divorce in South Carolina until 1949. Marital rape wasn't criminalized until 1991. Progress has been made, but the state still struggles. Only 7 states have higher rates of women living in poverty. South Carolina has its first female governor, but the state ranks 49th in the nation for the number of women elected to its legislature, according to the Center for American Women and Politics, and that's an improvement over previous years. Churches, this is in the series, churches have played a major role in making women feel that God would be disappointed in them if they left their husband. The church has not always been a place of refuge. More than 3 times as many women have died in South Carolina at the hands of current or former lovers than the number of the state's soldiers killed in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars combined. It's a staggering toll that for more than 15 years has placed South Carolina among the top 10 nationally in the rate of women killed by men. And the series goes on to state things like, couple this with the state awash in guns, saddled with ineffective laws, and lacking enough shelters for the battered, South Carolina is a state where the deck is stacked against women. Coupled with this also with the deep-rooted beliefs about the sanctity of marriage and the place of women in the home, and the vows, till death do us part, take on a sinister tone. Well, I urge you to go to the website and read the entire series, which is quite stunning. It's www.postandcourier, all one word, postandcourier.com, and you check out the series Till Death Do Us Part. Congratulations to the Post and Courier, and congratulations to the Pulitzers for noticing the Post and Courier. This is the kind of work that journalism should actually do. And that's it for today. Join us next week when Dr. Jennifer Merez will enlighten us about her work with nuclear medicine and cardiology that is gender-specific. Also with us will be Susan Stone, one of the organizers of the Women on 20s campaign to get a woman on the $20 bill. And Brenda Feigen will be reporting on the Supreme Court decision on marriage equality, after she's been inside the courtroom when the decision was handed down. Very dramatic. Remember that I'll be speaking at Dartmouth in Lebanon, New Hampshire on the afternoon of Friday, May 1st, talking about hate speech and how much women are the ones who pay the real cost of free speech. GRID, the Gender Research Institute at Dartmouth, can be contacted for details. And if you are in the area of New England and interested, do drop by and say hi. This program is syndicated, but if you can't find the broadcast on a radio station in your area, you can always visit us at WMCLive.com for the show, plus the archive of all the previous episodes, and we're at iTunes worldwide, where you can stream, download, and subscribe to our show's podcast. Also, be sure to find WMC Live on Facebook and on Twitter. Portions of this program were taped earlier. Opinions expressed here do not necessarily represent the WMC. Here's the family for Women's Media Center Live. WMC President and Executive Producer of this program, Julie Burton. Senior Producer, Crystal Williams Chancellor. And our founding sponsor, Regina K. Scully. I'm Robin Morgan, your producer and host. Thank you for being with us. The last straw this week is that Turkey, facing growing pressure from countries all around the world and just recently from the European Union, pressure to finally acknowledge the systematic killing of 1.5 million Armenian Christians during the collapse of the Ottoman Empire back between the wars. Turkey is now claiming that this accusation is merely an expression of European racism. Now, that there is racism in Europe is unarguable, but so is the evidence of what historians call the first genocide of the 20th century. You know, denial makes me crazy. If you want to go stark raving sane with me, remember to join us next week, right here on Women's Media Center Live.
For the smartest talk about news, politics, sex, books, religion, race, and more, tune your radio to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan. Audacious, witty, provocative, informative, and fun. It's Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on WMCLive.com. Talk radio with a brain.